this is Stephanie, and this is Talk Tales and Trivia, the show where I talk about society, culture, pop culture, and I give you a little trivia too sometimes so that you can stump your family and friends. It is so much fun. If you are a new listener here at Talk Tales and Trivia, I want to welcome you and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoy this episode. So now everybody gather around, get your favorite drink, sit down in that comfortable chair like you always do. Relax, listen, and enjoy this episode. But before I officially start this episode, I just wanted to tell you that I love doing society and culture episodes where we are introduced to new situations, new living situations, and the people in those living situations. A matter of fact, about 2 months ago, I did episodes on the tunnel dwellers in Las Vegas, and I did an episode on Slab City, which is in the southern part of California, if you want to go back and listen to those episodes. But now, I'm going to introduce you to another way of life, and I hope that you enjoy it. So, let's do this. Away we go. This episode is on van living and the van dwelling life. Let's start with a couple of questions here. What would happen if this past year you found yourself without a job, depressed, sick, unable to pay your basic living expenses like rent, or any other situation that you might not have expected? Suppose you became houseless through no fault of your own. Suppose someone had passed away in your family. Have you given that much thought? Well, I hadn't either until just recently. I finished watching Nomadland. It's a movie that my sister recommended. So let's talk a bit about the movie that won the Oscar this year. Well, Nomadland is a 2020 American drama film based on the 2017 nonfiction book Nomadland, Surviving America in the 21st Century by Jessica Bruder. The film is written, edited, produced, and directed by Cleo Zhao and stars Frances McDermott as a van dweller, working nomad who leaves her hometown after her husband dies. This is what I was telling you about. The unexpected happens. The main character, Fern, finds herself houseless and now travels around the United States in a van. One of Fern's friends says something strikingly true, though. I love this lifestyle. It's a lifestyle of freedom and beauty and connection to the earth. There is a trade-off, though. You gotta learn how to take care of your own crap. And that is so true, literally and figuratively. All of the true life van dwellers are very, very much like the character Fern in this movie Nomadland that I recommend highly. She finds herself living in a sad situation, needing money and help from anyone who can give it to her. So before I continue with this, let me start with a definition of nomad. I know you guys know what the definition is, but I wasn't sure, so here it is. Nomad means that a person has no permanent abode, but moves about from place to place. A wanderer. Travels sometimes seasonally and often following a traditional route according to food supply or acquaintances met along the way. It sounds so kind of cool, right? Doesn't it sound so Jack Kerouac? But it's kind of not when you don't have a choice. And if you were to go onto YouTube, you would find many people that vlog about their own van dweller life experiences, and there are plenty of vlogs. There are two distinct types of van dwellers. The younger 20 to 30 age group millennial types that are hanging out and living life by traveling out of choice. Well, here's a perfect example of this type of van dweller, and this is not a joke. Her name is Stephi Lee. And I went on to YouTube and I found her by accident. But she is a verified van life lover on YouTube who does YouTube videos. She left her van life behind recently because of the cold weather and the pandemic, two very good reasons. But she says this about van life and her lifestyle in general. I just want to be me and not fall under a label of what people think I should be. And that is so true. I can totally understand that. What perfection that quote is to describe this lonely nomad lifestyle. Just being who you want to be, not what anyone else thinks you should be. But nowadays, Stephi isn't exactly lonely, especially because she has found a nice fellow van dweller. She rented a house and plans on leaving the van life for right now. But she had always had choices, right? Stephi is in her 20s, has a supportive family that helped her get the van all together and paid for most of the van upgrades. Stephi really just wanted to live the van life. She did not have any economic downfalls for choosing the life she chose. She just thought it was cool, and it is. She saw friends, met new friends, traveled to some fantastic places, had a cool place to sleep and to live, and simply enjoyed her life. The van dweller, much like Stephi, who is doing it for fun, has a supportive family structure and tons of energy and friends. Now, that's not saying that they don't have some problems with family or friends or in their life situations, but it does mean that they are doing it for a different reason than the second type of van dweller. And here's the truth. There is almost the exact opposite van dweller. The other is the ones depicted in the movie Nomadland. Usually 60 plus in age, very lonely, not too many friends. They like the open road, but usually they don't initially choose the van life out of want, but rather out of necessity. They've run out of money, or they've had to pay back debt or credit cards or whatever it is. They don't have a choice. Bob Wells, who was in the movie Nomadland, discussed the community of modern nomads and why people are increasingly drawn to the movement. He is quoted as saying, "If the Great Recession was a crack in the system, COVID and climate change will be the chasm. This lifestyle is not to be confused with #vanlife, a hashtag that populates Instagram feeds and accompanies photos of largely younger people, like Stephi, from the example I just gave, traveling in vans. Well, economically, from the website Priceonomics, there's this. This unusual lifestyle can save individuals some money if they wish to pursue a passion like starting a new company or to pay back student loans. I've seen that. Or other people are drawn to the van life because they want to maintain a lifestyle of minimalism, fun, and they need to feel self-reliant. But first, if you choose this life, you will need some amount of initial capital. This initial capital is what can make van dwelling not an option if you are in financial straits. It depends on how fancy you want to make your van and what you're doing with it. A used van can cost upwards of $10,000, and you can likely buy a less expensive van, but doing so will require modifications to make it suitable for sleeping and enjoying and living inside the van. One online van dweller put his initial modification budget at about $2,000. You'll probably need to buy things like a portable heater, an alternate power source, tinted windows, and a solution for when nature calls. All these modifications and extra work may have you rethinking the van life. Online, you can find a great deal of resources on how to get started on a van dweller existence. But before you start, here are a few opinions. One individual says van life was not so fun. By the second or third month, it was not a very pleasant experience. I was getting pretty lonely, and it was pretty boring to have the van parked in one place all the time. I thought about taking it on the road, but I was pretty sure it would break down and I'd be screwed. Also, let's be honest, when you are living in a van, your dating prospects are not good. Isn't that the truth? And let's be real, there are people who thought van life would be different and called it quits on van living after a while. Like this person says here, So after 3 months, I took an awesome job doing iOS development and moved out of the van. Now I'm going to try to sell the van. But I need to fix the dead battery first. It's just sitting around and doing nothing right now. Van living is a way to save money. It really is. But it requires capital, work, discipline. And most people don't last that long doing this. The two most common reasons for quitting van life are the stress of finding a place to park at each night. Ugh, it sounds horrible. And the loneliness of the solitary existence. Equally horrible. One van dweller chronicled her life living in a van, but after 5 years, she gave up the van life to settle down with her partner. And that worked out great. I guess some things just have a stronger pull than the call of the open road. The need, yes, for companionship. But if you think you might enjoy this life, go online because there is plenty to read. Read the blogs, visit the Facebook groups. There are plenty of van life meetups you can find on social media, from solo women meetups to meetups in places across the country that van dwellers go to every year or every so often to reunite with old friends. I find myself now coming to the end of this episode, and I would be remiss if I forgot to mention again the older van dwellers that need to live in their vans and need the meetups and need to be with their friends. And so I have this quote from an older van dweller that has many, many friends all across the country. Home isn't something you own. It's something you take with you. So now my question to you is simple. Have you ever lived in a van? Or have you ever thought about living in a van? I would love to know. Email me, talktalesandtrivia@gmail.com. That's me. If you enjoyed this episode of Talk Tales and Trivia, I love that. Go to my website, talktalesandtrivia.com/SITE to get to all of my episodes, show notes, and that bio on me is there if you're wondering what I'm all about. And if you enjoy Talk Tales and Trivia, I just know you may enjoy my other podcast, Growing Uncomfortable. That's growinguncomfortable.com/SITE to get to all my episodes, my show notes, and that bio on me is there if you're wondering what I'm all about. Hey, you know what? There's one more thing I have to tell you. You can subscribe or follow Talk Tales and Trivia and Growing Uncomfortable and get the notifications of when new episodes come out. And that is so cool. You know what? I hope you enjoyed this episode of Talk Tales and Trivia, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.